and the mic was off again. All right. So we have an update here on the situation that happened in Virginia, I believe, with these creepy costume people knocking on people's door, allegedly breaking in and stuff like that. We have a police report. Let me remind you all what happened. Showing you this video. This was I guess a doorbell video cam. I don't know what the hell ring doorbell thing. So let me know. All right, I'm gonna show you here real quick, and we're gonna react to it.
Open the door!
They knocked on their door.
All right. So let's go. Apparently, there were already some press conferences on this. I didn't know. They made a big deal out of it. But this is today's. Hopefully, they caught someone. Let's go over it together. Let me know if you guys could hear it. Hit that one.
Calling the police. And once we were called again, we immediately responded. A significant break came after our first press conference. We received multiple tips that created valuable leads. Following those leads, investigators discovered that the three masked individuals were related to the victim. An adult female suspect later confessed that her and her two sons and her nephew, early in their teens, were responsible for approaching the home. In addition, there were two adults and a child in the immediate area filming or standing by for the conclusion of this event. In total, there were 3 adults and 4 children involved. What we now know was a prank.
It was a
prank. I want to specify the victim had no knowledge of this event. Because the family has chosen not to press charges, the suspects will not be publicly identified. While this incident may not result in a criminal prosecution, for me, my team, and for this community, it represents a moral failure.
Yeah, and then all the tax money, right? But, you know, they could just tax more. You all paid for this.
Responsible for approaching the home. In addition, there were 2 adults and a child in the immediate area filming or standing by for the conclusion of this event. In total, there were 3 adults and 4 children involved. What we now know was a prank. I want to specify the victim had no knowledge of this event. Because the family has chosen not to press charges, the suspects will not be publicly identified. While this incident may not result in a criminal prosecution, for me, my team, and for this community, it represents a moral failure.
Well,
a moral failure where consequences could result in deadly consequences. I want to specify this because we have saw this type of behavior around the country where people have done pranks and they have resulted in people being seriously injured or losing their lives. And as we approach this Halloween season, I want to ensure that everyone knows here within our community that we will be taking actions to not only be visible on the streets, but we also
but this was a prank.
Providing safety tips this week to ensure.
So there you go with the prank.
Holiday.
Someone related to the lady they were knocking
so I'm
the door.
subject to any questions that anyone has.
I know the charges aren't going to be filed because the family doesn't want charges filed, but you just said that it took 100 hours of manpower to solve this case. Should they not pay some sort of restitution or something?
So in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the family cannot decide to press charges, but the Commonwealth attorney can decide whether to move forward with charges or not. In the interest of justice and us identifying what has happened and occurred, I am speaking about this publicly. As I talked about it earlier, it is a moral failure, and we have taken the action to investigate it. And at this time, we're still deciding not to move forward with charges after consulting with the family and also talking with the Commonwealth attorney.
Well, my question was, since this family perpetrated this hoax, should they not be responsible for the cost of investigating this case?
So again.
No, because
that was our
taxpayers'
decision
money's
that we have
endless.
made
Infinite
collectively.
wealth.
I want to send a clear message, right? Number one, that adults should be accountable for their children.
Yep.
They should not exercise this type of behavior. But this is hopefully will be a learning experience for this family. And these are.
See, when we make when regular people make mistakes in their lives, they pay for it. They suffer the consequences. But when the city or the government does, they have an endless supply of your money. So, tax the rich so they could spend their money on nonsense.
The actions that we've decided to take at this time.
Chief, when this incident happened, did somebody go outside with a firearm to investigate? Could this in fact have been a deadly incident?
Yeah, it could have been deadly, man.
And then also just, your response when you learned that it was family and children involved.
So I think you're absolutely right to ask that question. What we do know is that the victim in this incident called her brother. Her brother responded to the scene with a firearm instead of what I just said earlier, calling us. And so
Someone could have been ended,
could
man.
have resulted deadly. We know that the persons were at the door. Although it was a prank, they were making threatening comments.
Yeah.
And I think that the victim called a family member who she believed was close. And you're absolutely right, as I want to emphasize to everyone, these are not pranks, right? To be taken lightly. It is a very serious incident, and while they had no knowledge that this were persons that they knew, it could have been deadly if that action was taken.
Chief, have you been able to speak with the people in
Ridiculous.
family members? What did they have to say? And as far as, was this simply a joke in their minds?
So our detectives, again, have worked diligently to speak with the family, right? This has been a significantly week-long process to where we have tried to identify how people feel, what does justice mean to them, right? And they made a decision that they did not want to prosecute against their family. As you can imagine by looking at the video and also reporting it to the police, they were absolutely terrified with this happened and occurred. But we have to, again, look at all the circumstances to include if this should go to court, if it did go to court, with the victim per se show up to speak against their family member or prosecute. Again, I hope it's a lesson learned, not just for this particular family, but for anyone else in the community during this holiday season.
I think his question was about the guys who
Wearing the
in masks.
Did you guys speak to the people wearing masks?
So our detectives have spoken to them, and specifically the mother that was involved, who gave the full confession. Again, I made a plea that we would get tips from our community, but also the persons that are involved, it would be a lot easier if they came forward.
Was there consideration to charge them for wearing masks in public, which is a violation?
So
Is
there
it a
were multiple
violation?
considerations, as I just stated. But again, from a human perspective, while this was very challenging, we also have to ask, does the individual desire to prosecute against their family? And I think they're
they cost the taxpayer a lot of money.
To try to respect that decision.
What was the reason for the prank?
I don't know, right? It was Halloween. I think that, to define a prank is to scare someone, but I don't think that there was an actual motive other than what we know.
How long after the initial press conference did they come forward and confess? What was that timeline there?
Well, I will say probably several days after
it was
the
real,
press
though.
conference, we received multiple tips. And those multiple tips were persons from a neighboring jurisdiction that had some knowledge based off of this, and that gave our detectives some leads to follow up on.
So they didn't come forward and raise their hand, you guys contacted them and they said, oh yeah, it's us.
You're correct.
Exactly, when was that?
So the family members, some of these involved lived outside of the city of Alexandria. They came into the city to commit this prank.
Yes, you're right. They were in a neighboring county.
You said there were 3 adults, 4 children involved. Can you speak to the ages of the children who were involved? How young were these children?
So I think the average age of the young people that were involved in this incident were between 14 and 16 years of age. So they were teenagers.
And children, teenagers, they listen to what their parents tell them. And you were just talking about parents being accountable for their children, especially as they're sending them out to go trick or treat or go to parties or whatever it looks like for them this week.
Can you speak to just?
No accountability because
the importance of good
taxpayers have to
parenting
pay for it.
around this time?
You're the
Yeah, so, you know, I
taxpayer.
talked about this as a moral failure. At the end of the day, parents should be responsible for their children, right? And what's very disheartening about this situation is that you had adults that were engaging in this behavior, but also encouraging this behavior.
Oh my God,
And
really?
so again, there is a moral responsibility to direct and provide guidance for your children, right? And in this case, they failed. And so it's a lesson for all of us that are parents and that are children, especially during this Halloween season. We know that this time of year across the nation, as we approach the holidays, that crime increases, violent crime increases. And again, this particular situation, unbeknownst to the victim, could have resulted in a different action.
Can you clarify again who was caught on camera? You said it was an adult female and a child.
Yeah. So the initial 3 persons that you saw approach the door in the video with the Halloween mask on were the teenagers that we're speaking of. In the background, which
Yo, folks,
was
hit that like.
unbeknownst to everyone, there was filming that was going on from a camera on the phone. And then we also know that there were 2 vehicles that were on the street. They didn't walk to this location, right? That they walked up, got out the vehicles, and then ultimately drove away. So we know that there were a total of 3 adults as it relates to this event.
And while we're not naming names, are we talking about cousins, second cousins?
I believe that yes, there was a direct relationship from a cousin standpoint. It was a very close relationship.
Chief, you said it was a neighboring county. Can you be a little bit more specific as to where these folks are from? Arlington, Fairfax?
They're from Fairfax County.
Fairfax
Yes,
County.
yes.
And they did not target any other homes, it was just this one.
Not that we can confirm at this time. I will not say that because I think that, again, for other counties and for other areas, this still could be ongoing, but we have not verified or validated that there are other residents that they're targeting. We know that they were close to the persons that lived in this residence, again, and that the person that was the victim had no information that this was happening and occurring. And so when it was first initially reported to the media, that was very genuine. And our investigators, again, taking those leads, following up on those leads, were able to identify that they had a relationship to this family.
Chief, why do we have to wait so long to hear about this? If it was a prank, why didn't these family members just come out immediately?
Exactly.
Like,
That's
it's
a good-
joke, everybody. It's a prank.
that's a good question.
Why do we have to wait so
Good
long
question.
to hear this from you, sir?
Well, I think number one, James, my focus was for our team to identify who did this, right? And so we did an initial press conference as it related to this. I can't directly speak for the family, right? As this information evolved, and from a human perspective, you learn that your family members are involved
By the way, folks, let me know what country, city, or state you are watching from in the comments.
and engaged in this. I can't speak to why there was no particular follow-up from them, but my person in doing this today was to provide clarity based off of the context of this story and event.
We know that the so-called victim is Shayla Whiteside. We've interviewed her ourselves. Are you convinced that she had no idea these were family members?
Yeah, there's nothing to support that she did know, and I think that from the information that we have derived, she had no idea.
And you said someone was videotaping it. Was this done for social media clicks?
Yeah, probably.
I don't think it was reposted on social media. I can't speak to what they, decided to do down the future. I can tell you that our team has done a series of search warrants to identify other additional information, and that is how we were able to follow up on leads, identify all persons involved, and actually get a confession.
And to be clear, so it happened on the 14th, but when did you actually contact those family members? What date was that?
As relates to the suspects,
Correct.
I'm not sure of that definitive timeline, but it's been within the last week.
Over the weekend, last Friday?
It wasn't over the weekend. It's been a series of moving events, and this team has been able to, again, bring those events and details together. But this has been excellent investigative work. It's been really done within a week. And so I would probably say, probably by last Friday, we had some good clarity on some good direction to narrow this case down.
Are you relieved it's a prank?
James, you're absolutely Right. I am relieved that it is a prank again. I want everyone to be safe in this city. Our men and women at this department work tirelessly every day to try to make this one of the safest cities in America. And again, it goes back to the investigative work that has been done, the work of our officers. And so I'm proud of the work that they do every single day, but you're absolutely right. I'm happy this was a prank.
Chief, we have one last question from online. When did the additional information about the mass trio become apparent to APD?
Again, it's a series of tips that we received, and I think that it's important to note that we have to verify and validate what those tips are. And so I will probably say about near the end of the week, we had some good clarity on who was involved in this event. And so, we have moved forward and looked at all the factors and come to this concluding decision.
Okay, ma'am, final question?
Yeah, anything to say to the family member who came forward and gave you all details that you needed to move forward in this case?
Well,
I don't know if they were.
No, what I will say is that, I made an appeal to the community for persons to come forward and do the right thing. I also made an appeal that if anyone knew anything about this incident, to step forward. And it speaks to the human decency that people care about what goes on here in and around our region. And so we are grateful and for our community and our partnerships, and we will continue to do the work that we do every single day.
And last question.
If in fact the family decided to press charges, what charges would have been brought against these individuals?
Well, the primary charge that we were facing was going to be burglary. And then I also think that the behavior that that influenced the behavior of these children from the negligence of the parent, we would have looked at that as well. So.
Thank you all for joining us today.
Did she say they?
Thank you all. Thank you all.
I could have sworn she said they broke. Hold on, let me look for videos. You rewatch
A
this.
moral failure where consequences could result in deadly consequences. I want to specify this because we have saw this type of behavior around the country where people have done pranks and they have resulted in people being seriously injured or losing their lives. And as we approach this Halloween season, I want to ensure that everyone knows here within our community that we will be taking actions to not only be visible on the streets, but we also will be providing safety tips
Okay, so
to ensure that
something's
everyone
not
has
going to add
a
up here,
holiday experience that is going to be well and safe.
New video shows creepy masked figures standing at the front door of an Alexandria home, at times even ringing the bell and jiggling the handle. The family told our Josh Chapin at first they thought this was a Halloween prank until the situation took a terrifying turn. Now they're asking, why them?
Okay, remember, they said it's a prank by somebody in the family, right?
Worst nightmare.
What seemed like a Halloween prank turned into a nightmare for one Alexandria family this week.
It was just a blessing that I was in a house that.
So I'm assuming the prank was on her by family members, right?
Yeah.
Shayla, whose last name we're not revealing to protect them, has been staying here with her mom and little brother temporarily.
I want to get you. Open the door.
That's her voice you can hear on the Ring doorbell camera.
Who is it? Open up the door before we make our way inside.
She asked the masked group of people to leave, but they don't.
Okay, remember, this is family, right? This is family in the mask. So, I mean, that's not anything. I mean, it's just a joke, I guess.
I said Happy Halloween when they first came, asked them to get off the property. When they didn't, that's when I realized it wasn't a joke anymore. They tore the whole thing down.
Shayla showing us their next move in the backyard of their West Alexandria home.
So
they broke, her family members broke property? As a joke? Is that what happened?
Hopped on here, they came through there, and that's how they entered to get to our door to be able to knock on the back door.
She said police eventually showed up to investigate. Why would they target your house?
I have no idea. That's why I'm not taking it lightly. And
The breaking
I
of the
just feel
property
as
is
if
weird, man.
my mom's going to be in fear for a while because we don't know who it is.
Detectives don't have a lot to go on at this point, Scott, because as you saw, the suspects are in costumes. They did canvass that area the other night in West Alexandria, and they're asking you if you have any information about what happened that Tuesday night to come forward. The chief.
That's kind of weird. Anyways, we're going to be back with another update. Talk to you in a bit. Nerd out.